Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
But what I can't stand is treating people like prospects. We got to treat people like people. We've got to look at them and find out what they want and then come back to them and give that to them instead of throwing up on people in Starbucks and hitting them with everything that's wonderful about, I know you're passionate. I know you love this profession. I know you love your company. I know you love your comp plan. But try loving them first. Does that make sense to you? It will set you free if you love like crazy, then love more. And just remember that everybody that you're looking at is a human being who probably has a story that will bring you to your knees if you'll take the time to listen to it. But you have to take that time. And then when you find out what they want, sell that to them and let them figure out everything else wonderful about you and your company. Because we've got customers that we really need to take care of. Then we've got people that need to make money and build businesses. And they are separate and distinct. And what we need to do is remember that and love them for where they are, not where our agenda sends them. So that's what we need to do. Thank you.
I want to ask you guys something, and I want you to not just give me the stage answer, okay? Because sometimes there's a stage answer that we all have because you've done this for lots of years and you get this question. Or maybe you don't get this question. But I would like to know something truly and honestly. What's something that you're most proud of in your network marketing career? Something that you did, something that you made happen, something that wouldn't have happened if not for you, and you're proud of it.
I think the thing I'm the most proud of is I haven't changed a bit. I've been sober 30 years. I still go to AA every day. I get up every morning. I try to make a difference. I have done a lot of personal development. Now, what comes out of my mouth is what I believe to be true 100%. I've been able to become that man where I believe what I'm saying. And I look you in the eye and say, you know what? I can help you get there from there. And I mean it. I mean, wherever it is you are in your life, and it could be around alcohol and drugs, or it could be around business, probably not health so much. But at the end of the day, I am my word, and you didn't used to be that guy. I was whoever you wanted me to be to get what you had. And I'm not that guy anymore, and every one of you can become your best you and no one else. And that, for me, I wanted to be like Eric. I dress like Richard, but I don't want to be like him. I want to be the best Tom Chenault I can be, and this profession let me be that, to just go after it with an absolute vengeance. And all the stuff has come with it, the cars and the planes and the automobiles. But that's really chicken feed when you look at the fact that you've got a great marriage, you've got incredible children, you're somebody of your word. My wife doesn't, I go on road trips all over the world and she's not laying there with one eye open, wondering if there's some dumb woman that was stupid enough to buy my story somewhere on the planet. So it's just awesome because I'm trustworthy now. I never used to be trustworthy. So I'm so proud of that. And that's so what I don't want to change. I just want to be the best Tom I can be. And that's enough for me today.
Hey, it's A Drink with Derek. Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. By the way, all the episodes of A Drink with Derek can be seen on YouTube. You can also hear them on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. Also go to Pandora, type in A Drink with Derek, and I'm there as well. You can't get rid of me. And my brand new album called Double Down with On Tour Records is going to be coming out here soon. So I will keep you posted on when that goes out there as well. But most importantly, I want to introduce my guest, the gentleman that you saw just a couple of moments ago. He is recognized as one of the top 25 network marketers. He is a highly sought after industry trainer. He is the host of the world's largest multi-level marketing radio show, former corporate airplane salesman and stockbroker, but most importantly, hands down, one of the funniest, most genuine, energetic, inappropriate people that I know on the planet, Tom Chenault. from Longmont, Colorado with me here right now. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Derek. What about you? What an honor being on your podcast. I can't believe it.
I can't thank you enough for getting on here. I know you work tirelessly. I've never seen anybody with energy like you. And we'll get into that here in a second, because years ago, your energy was fueled by substances, if you will, I would imagine. And now you're just you are wired from the time I have seen you. And you and I go back to 2003, working with Longevity when I had done a comedy show for them. And then subsequently have hosted a number of conventions for Longevity, which is a health and wellness company based out of Chula Vista, California. And you are involved with those people. But from the first day that I met you, you just have had just the most insane energy and incredible aura about you.
Yes.
You really have.
That's
and I mean, it really is. I mean, it's stunning.
It's ridiculously true. I am so happy to be alive at age 70 that I wake up gleeful and hopefully wake up tomorrow gleeful. And it is all awesome, Derek. And I am the luckiest guy in the world. I haven't had a cocktail or any drugs for 33 years. So that is a long time between cocktails. I was sober when I met you. I got sober in 1988, which is a long time ago. And I've been living my life like a rock star ever since, in sobriety, and basically living my life to let people know the other side of substance abuse doesn't have to be stupid, boring, and glum. It doesn't have to be scarcity. It doesn't have to be jail or death. It can be a blast, and I'm living proof of that.
I can't believe you're 70 years old. I mean, you look fantastic. And
well,
normally,
that's you look so much like shit for your age.
I know. I look like I was dragged out of a Walgreens shopping cart from a bum pushing it down Fremont Street. But no, I mean, you look fantastic. You really do. And you were, and we've talked about some of your stories back in the day when you used to really enjoy partying.
Yeah.
And you were a corporate airplane salesman and a stockbroker. So you had the love of partying and the money to do whatever you wanted.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is a lethal combination. That is a powder keg and a detonator just waiting to go. So how did that escalate? Did your partying and your want to just go nuts happen when you were involved in selling airplanes, or was it when you were a stockbroker? And was it just a product of the environment? Because you hear so many stories about, like, you watch like The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And you see that movie and you saw his lifestyle.
Well, Jordan Belfort, I didn't know him, but his life was very parallel to mine. And he was about 15 notches above me in income and decadence. But in my heyday, he was after me. But in my heyday, here's how jacked up I was. He was who I wanted to be when I grew up. Just a despicable pig. And I got the chance to interview him on a radio show. I hosted a show called Business for Breakfast radio show in Colorado. And they said, this guy is going to be on the show. His name's Wolf of Wall Street. And I called his publicist. I said, this is going to be like the worst interview he's ever had, because I'm going to call him out for getting out of jail and going out here and living like a rock star and not making restitution to all those people and never truly apologizing, just like business as usual. I was a dickhead. I'm still a dickhead, and deal with it. And I did. And we just went to blows on the radio, and it was a lot of fun. And he still doesn't know I'm alive. And, you know, if he wouldn't even remember, he's so arrogant, he wouldn't even remember that interview. And on many occasions, people say, do I want to get into a business transaction with him? And forever it was no, but I've kind of watched him over the years, and I think he's improving with age, or I'm getting stupider, and I might actually do something with him one of these days.
What was your turning point for you? What finally got you to say, you know what, this is enough? Because you've shared a number of stories. I want to hear some of your more memorable stories. I'm going to ask you about the airplane story. You know, I'm going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So the turning point was I was a huge stockbroker, and there was another derelict working at the firm. He was a stock trader who really had an alcohol and drug problem. And I was kind of his keeper. I was like his godfather, like his guardian angel. So he doesn't show up for about a week straight. And so they said, you got to go find him. So I said, I'll be happy to do that. So I got in his car, and he lived in this place called Roxborough Park. And I'll never forget it. I had an Audi 5000S Quattro, just a badass car. And I drive up, and here's his house and the many million dollar home. And the homeowners association had sent him like 10 letters to paint his house. And he ignored them all. So he finally called the painters and just had them spray paint the whole house black. The windows, the doors, everything. He was the perfect guy. I loved him. And so I walk in his house, and his wife had left him, and there was literally no furniture there. And on the kitchen counter was a turkey that had been prepared, all the stuff, and there's no turkey to be found. And my friend is nowhere to be found. And it's like 10,000 square feet. I look everywhere. I finally walk into a closet, and he's unconscious on the floor. And he's surrounded by those snow seals, which is what you kept cocaine in those days, and a bottle of whiskey. And he's just dead. And I go, oh, gee, where am I going to hide his body? So then
that, of course, is the most logical thing that you would say.
So I kick him, and he wakes up, and he goes, oh, Tom. And I go, yeah. He goes, you got to take me to treatment. I go, what's treatment? He goes, there's a place called Cottonwood Hill. It's on my card on my desk. So I go grab his card, and it said Cottonwood Hill, and it had the address. And I call him up, and I go, I'm bringing a guy in. They say, fine. And I load him into the car. He's just a mess. And we get in, and I know he's going to throw up in my car. And we start driving. It's the middle of the night. And we go down this road called Titan Road. And we're just like,
now, where is this at? Where is this
in
at?
Colorado.
Okay.
And we're driving along, and we're in a trance. And I'm just staring straight ahead, and so is he. And we're scared to death. And all of a sudden, to my left is a light this big. It's a train. I've run the train. I've run the light, and the train is right there. And it missed me. And I went, what? There's no way that train could have missed me. And I'm still like, this is even weirder. So about 18 hours later, which was like a 45-minute drive, we get to Cottonwood Hill. We drive over this hill. We drive down, and here's this little absolutely Jack Nicholson shining-looking farmhouse. We pull in, and I'm walking him in to turn him in, and there's a basketball court there, and it had no net on it. And that pissed me. That's one of my pet peeves in my life. I go, this place has got to be a dump. They don't even have a net. We walk in the door. It's like a 40-watt light bulb. We go down the stairs. It's scary as hell. And at the bottom of the stairs is this woman who weighed about 600 pounds, meaner than a junkyard dog, stares right at me and goes, who's this? And I go, it's Chuck Kirby. I'm bringing him into treatment, man. And she goes, okay, sit right there, Chuck. And Chuck sits down, and I sit next to him. And so he fills out these forms. And then he goes, she says, good, thank you very much. He said, we're going to get somebody to come and get you right now. He says, well, I need to call my wife. And she said, did you sign those forms? And he said, yes. And she said, you're calling nobody? And I'm like ready to hide under the chair. So then in comes these two guys that make you look like a jockey. And they're huge. And they're snarling too. And they walk over and grabbed me. And I went, no, he's the alcoholic. And they roll their eyes. So then they all check in, and he's in treatment. And I make a deal with God that I will not drink the entire time he's in treatment. And so by the time it's over, my commitment was I won't drink during the AA meeting I drove to. I couldn't even stay sober the day of. I just finally didn't. But once I realized I had a drinking problem, I was able to go get some help. And I started to go into AA. And from that day on, and my friend Chuck's still sober. He's 6 months sober, more sober than me. And he's one of my best friends. And he'll probably watch this podcast and call you and try to sue you. But that's the way it goes. And yeah, everything is the truth to the best of my recollection, which isn't very good. And another thing that you need to know on this podcast is in every story I tell, I will always change the facts to make myself the hero. So I reinvent history to make myself the hero.
Everybody always wants to be the hero of their own story, and you actually manufacture it and make it happen that way. Well, you had the story that you tell that I never and I know I embarrass you by asking you to tell it multiple times, but the time when you were in a plane.
Shut up. You're going to tell the punchline and you're going to kill it.
All right,
So
that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I am a drinker, and so I was married, and I was an airplane salesman for Beach, and my office was in Colorado, but I would fly every Monday to Billings, Montana, and we had an office there, and I would hole up in the Sheraton Hotel, and I would just drink all week long and find alcoholics that had airplanes to drink with, and we would just play like we were trying to sell their airplanes. And they finally caught me and fired me, but it took them a week to catch me because I had an airplane, and it was awesome. And this guy named Ernie Reese was so pissed off because he'd be calling and goes, "I know you're in Billings," and I was over in Missoula or something, and we were just laughing and drinking on their credit card. He finally caught me in Kalispell and took the airplane away, and I had to fly home. But at the end of the day, this guy named Mel was one of the great guys in the world, and he owned all the vending machines in Montana, and he was a maniac too. And we had more fun together, just flying airplanes, and we'd play chicken with airplanes and just stuff that human beings shouldn't do. And finally, one night we're drinking at the Billings Sheraton, and we're at the hotel, and we're having a blast, and we meet a couple of girls, and we go over to Mel's house, and we hop in the pool. I hop in the pool with the two girls, and he's up making cocktails, and no one's got any clothes on. And all of a sudden, kabam, we hear gunshots. And I look up, and it's Mel's wife. And that idiot had forgot she was home. So we were in trouble. So we made a pact. I don't know if you've ever done one of those blood brother things where you prick your finger, but we pricked our fingers. And we made a pact that we would never, ever, ever, ever drink in Billings, Montana again. So that was the pact. we would go over to Bozeman, where Montana State University was, and we were there because there were the women that were like 40 years old, younger anyway. It was perfect. So we'd get over there, and it was unbelievable. We were running the co-eds down, and finally we found two of them dumb enough to take the bait. And they said they would do just anything if they could continue to party. So we said fine, and they thought we were going to a party. But we really weren't. We were going to the liquor store. We bought some Crown Royal and a case of beer, and went to the airport and hopped in a Beechcraft Bonanza airplane and headed for Wendover, Nevada. And Wendover, Nevada is where the Mormons sneak across the Great Salt Lake in order to go gamble in those little, I'm sure it's a dive, so you've done comedy there before. So at the end of the day.
Believe me, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is, it was a great place. So we went there several times in my life, but this night we were just smashed. So we hop in the airplane to go to Wendover, and
with these girls.
Oh yeah, they're in the back of the airplane.
Okay,
and we are already smashed.
This is quality decision making on their behalf.
Yes, 4-hour flight. So, which is like a day in a little tiny airplane, no bathroom, no nothing. It was horrible. They were sick. They thought they were with Ted Bundy and Charles Manson right after they got off the ground. They wanted no part of us. And we're just having a blast, and we're hooting and hollering, and Mel's a pilot. So we're flying along, and we got autopilot. So we're doing okay. And we finally get to Wendover. And this one girl has just been whining the whole way. So we get to Wendover, and we're way up in the air, and we come over the hill, and there's Wendover down below. And I click my mic, I turn off the engine, slow it down, so we can land, and we start getting ready to land. And I've got to find the airport, and I click my microphone 5 times to find to turn on the runway lights, and they won't turn on. They forgot to turn that thing on. So it is dark. So now we have to make a decision. We fly across the Salt Lake over to Salt Lake, or we go over a mountain and down into Reno, where we can gamble. Well, we're making that decision, and we're flying by, and now so I can see the airport. And I said, that's perfect. I can land this thing in the dark. So we just turn off the engine, and you're not supposed to go down like this fast. So these girls were really loving that, and we just, because we've got to get to pattern altitude in a hurry, which is 1,000 feet above the ground, and you've got to be going about 100 miles an hour downwind. So what that means is you got to get the airplane slowed down, ready to land, and you've got to be going about 100 miles an hour. So that's what we were doing. We were downwind, which is parallel the runway, and we got it under control. Mel's talking me through it. We're both absolutely hammered. And this girl, I forgot to tell you, the little terminals at the airport are called like Atlas Air and things like that. It's little terminals, and you get the gas, and you get out, and you stretch your legs, maybe go to the bathroom. Anyway, that's where you do that. That's what they're called, and they're these little houses on the side of the runway. So anyway, we get downwind, and this girl is really starting to make more noise. And I'm going, what is wrong with that girl? So finally, we're going downwind. And what you do is once the runway is right below you, that means you've got the runway made, and you can turn off the engine, and you turn something called base, and the airplane falls out of the sky, and it's supposed to land on the runway. So we're downwind, and she's just making all kinds of noise, and we're ignoring her and paying attention. And then we turn base, and she ramps it up about 15 times more. And we're going like, shut up, will you? We're trying to land an airplane here. So finally we turn final, and right in front of me, the runway is supposed to be there, but I don't know if you've ever been really, really drunk. I know you have, but most of you haven't. And you see double. So now I'm seeing double. So now I can't see the runway. He goes, well, I got the controls, cover one eye. So I'm flying with one eye, and Mel's got the controls. And we're trying to land this thing. And all of a sudden, she makes a sound that I've never heard in my life. And it can only be described as close to the same thing that Kato Kalin heard at the O.J. Simpson trial when he said that dog made that unearthly noise. This woman made an unearthly noise. And it just absolutely froze us. But we're coming down like a brick toward this runway. And I'm going, oh, shit. So I look over my shoulder, and this has never happened in my life. They say when you're really scared, your eyeballs bug out of your head. That girl's eyeballs were like on my shoulder. And I'm going, what on earth? So I just had to look at what she was looking at, and I was about 100 feet off the ground, and I look over where her eyes are aimed, and she's pointing, and instead of saying Atlas Air, it said Kmart. And I almost stuck that airplane in a Kmart parking lot. There were cars, there were parking blocks, there were power lines, there were everything.
How low were you at that point when you realized that it was a Kmart parking lot?
I had to be less than 500 feet, more than 200. Oh. So it wasn't that, what you do, it's called a go around, and you learn how to do that in flight school. You just push everything forward and get the hell out of Dodge.
Right.
We figured it out and didn't hit anything was good. And we were so scared though, because that could have ended badly. So we were so scared that we made an
that's the most tame response or most tame statement you could have made describing that situation. This could have ended badly.
Yeah, so what we did was we made the very mature decision not to fly over the mountain to Reno, but to go across the water because we wouldn't hit anything and land at Salt Lake and then rent a car and come back, which we did. So we got over there, we got the airplane landed, we rented a car, we went back to Wendover, did the party, and I don't have any recollection of how intimate or anything like that it got. But I will tell you how good a salesman I am. You need to listen to this. The following morning, those girls got back on that airplane.
Oh my God.
I would have walked. So that's the airplane story.
I can't believe that they got off the plane and then got in the rental car with you and then drove over to Wendover, Nevada to continue partying.
Much less. Yeah, we didn't even have a designated driver.
You shouldn't have even been qualified to sit in that car.
No question. It was awesome.
That is so funny. The cool thing is with you is that you have so many great stories, and you come, success, you worked your ass off to get to where you are.
Who doesn't?
And well, I mean, nothing was handed to you, and you've gone through a roller coaster. You've had highs, you've had lows, you've gone through the, addiction, the recovery, you've come out stronger than ever. I love the line that you have in your bio where it says, success has not always been in the cards. Like most network marketers, Tom spent a lot of time going broke enthusiastically and taking other people with him. Explain that.
Isn't that your greatest fear about multi-level marketing? Isn't it that you fail? It's that you take other people with you. That's why most people won't do it. They're not worried about losing $500 themselves. They're worried about that looking good to their buddies, where they actually are doing something like that. And so I spent a long time in my life going broke enthusiastically and taking other people with me. And it took me a lot of time and a lot of heartache to be able to create what I have now, which is an unbelievable business, an unbelievable life that like I know no one that's got my life. But if anybody thought it was easy or it happened fast, they're out of their mind. It takes a long time and it's hard work.
Well, and your story is fascinating. Like I said, just hearing what you've gone through and how you've been able to pull out of any low point and be as successful as you are. The question I have for you: explain to the viewer and the listener when we say network marketing. You and I know what it is. Explain it.
It's just word of mouth. It's word of mouth sales. Instead of advertising, every day you're getting hammered, all of you, by somebody trying to sell you something. You probably got some pithy email from Derek trying to get him to watch this trying to get you to watch this. That's all marketing. Word of mouth marketing. Somebody calls you on the phone and says, you got to listen to Derek Richards' podcast. That thing is unbelievable. That's going to carry more weight than any ad that anybody could have, because somebody that you love, somebody that you've got the BLTs with. And what is the BLTs? The reason Derek loves me is because he knows he belongs in my tribe. Derek knows that I love him. Derek knows that he can trust me, and he also knows that he's safe with me. Never once have I tried to talk Derek Richards into anything. I love him. He's my friend. And that's the kind of friends I want around me, which quite frankly is not the image of network marketing. And I have spent my life trying to change that image. And that word contact mapping at the bottom of my picture is a company I built to get these crazy network marketers and every salesman you ever meet to stop looking at you like a prospect, but instead to look at you as a human being that can be served instead of sold. And I've committed my life to it. My passion in my life is alcohol and drug help. My job is network marketing, and my legacy is contact mapping. I don't like that network marketing stigma. It has always bothered me, and it's on me to change that in the world. And I, by gosh, am I going to do it?
Well, in network marketing, which goes hand in hand with MLM, multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
And when people hear that and they see that, the reaction that a lot of people have, depending on your age and what you're used to being exposed to, is people remember Amway.
Yeah.
Which is a very successful company. I'm not saying anything negative about Amway, but they seemed to be the benchmark for, oh God, someone's trying to sell me Amway laundry detergent or Amway fabric softener or whatever. Yeah. And I had a roommate years ago when I was living in Michigan who got involved in that. And we had a basement full of Amway products. Right. And he was trying to get us, involved in this, but it was a very annoying process that he went through. So how do you, being in the field that you are in, how do you shift people's mindset from thinking, listen, I'm not Amway. I'm not the old school method of how they were trying to sell their product. How do you change the attitude of people to not look at it in a negative way?
The mantra in my life is tell the truth as fast as you can. And there's a book out there called The Coffee Shop Interview Book. And it's an Amazon bestseller, which might be the biggest ripoff in the history of Amazon. It costs $7 and it's probably worth about 45 cents. It's 22 pages long. They found it and made a book out of it and put it on Amazon, and it went to the top of their list. I wrote it with my son, Adrian, but the 7th commandment in that book is, with every human being that you meet in your life, your job is to make them feel better about themselves than they did when they got there. And so I'm surrounded by alcoholics and drug addicts every day. I got 3 calls from people that want to talk to me after this podcast about somebody in their life trying to get off that stuff. I hit them with a sales pitch, or I go over to help them with getting off alcohol and say, by the way, I have a whiteboard and let's have some circles for dessert. That's a bad idea. I just tell the truth as fast as I can. And what I do is I interview people. I talked about that coffee shop interview. And basically, I find out what people want to buy. I find out what people don't want to buy. And then I wait a couple of days and I call them up and I say, how would you like to buy what you said you wanted to buy 2 days ago? And I don't bring up what they said they didn't want to buy. So if somebody says, I hate multi-level marketing or MLM, I'm sure as heck not going to call him in 2 days and say, do you want to go to a meeting? But every multi-level marketer on the planet's been trained to do just that. My job is to get that professionalism back into this profession, because I'm going to tell everybody right now, I don't know what you do for money. I do not know, but you want my life. You might not want to be me, but you want my life. I've built an organization that is unbelievable, that pays me while I'm sleeping. It took me a long time, and it was hard work, and I was lucky, and whatever you want to call it. But I'll tell you what, same with your job. You've been grinding it out. Tell me about that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that you've got, because it ain't there, especially after COVID. And now we've got a world full of people that are getting checks for doing nothing. I was just in Vegas, and I couldn't get an Uber. And the Uber driver said, "Oh, you can't, they won't go to work because they make more money being at home." And I said, that is awesome for them, and I'm thrilled to death. But that money's going to go away. But now they're used to being home, and they should get used to that. They should learn how to work hard and not watch Netflix all day long. But there's nothing wrong with working smart, not hard. And that's what I'm good at.
Well, and that's what your radio show does. You talk about being a home-based business and coming out of lockdown. And that's really what I wanted to have you on this podcast for a while, because you crack me up, for one thing, first and foremost. But you also have a message behind you. And I think coming out of this lockdown and talking about people that spent all this time at home, and you and I were talking about this before we had even started recording, where people were stuck at home. People were sitting there with their kids and their pets and their significant others and trying to clean the gun properly so that the fingerprints wouldn't show. So when they kill their wife or their husband, they can figure out a way to ditch the weapon. You know, maybe send it to Wendover, Nevada on one of your planes with one of the dingbats you picked up in Bozeman or wherever the hell you were at.
There's only one left. I married the other one.
She would kill you. Your wife is a saint. She is doing the Lord's work, hanging out with you. But no, people being in lockdown for that length of time. I mean, I think everybody came out of this with you needed to learn something coming out of this. So what do you say to people that are coming out of lockdown that were used to being at home? And now a lot of people are comfortable being home because a lot of businesses, a lot of the brick and mortar places are closing down. So you have people that are now forced to work from home. But what you do is just create just some fantastic opportunities for people to make great money.
My radio show is called the Network Marketing Leadership Show. And I interview all the top people in the world, from Robert Kiyosaki to Mark Victor Hansen to Derek Richards, to these people that are incredible human beings. And every one of them say the same thing. Your net worth is your network. And every one of you could do this. You're at rock bottom. You are so lucky. I had to get 2 DUIs and 2 disturbing the pieces and have everything crash around me to get to the bottom that so many people are at right now. So now we have a choice. We can get back up and go back to our shitty life the way it was, leaving to a job for not enough money every day to grind it out. Or we can take what we learned in the pandemic and in all of this and say to ourselves, you know what? What's important to me is my family. What's important to me is my relationships. I want to learn how to monetize that. I want to learn how to be a better person, and I want to learn how to make a living doing it. Is it possible? Does it work? Will it work for me? And those are the only questions you have to ask. And you can see I'm living proof it works. I've got an unbelievable life here, Derek, that has taken me a long time. I didn't have a choice. The reason I got in multi-level marketing from being a stockbroker was because I answered an ad. It fell out of a newspaper. It was a divine moment in my life. I pick up the piece of paper. I thought it was litter. I look at it and it said unlimited income opportunity. I go, that looks a little bit better than Taco Bell. Nope. No credit check, no background check. I called the guy immediately and I said, what is it? Oh, you're going to have to come by. I go, no, I'm not coming by. Tell me what it is. I'll send you some information. I go, pal, what's your address? I'm coming to your house. He said, why? I said, because I have to do something. And if these 3 things are true, I'm in. He said, they're true. I said, I'm on my way to your house. And he said, it's multi-level marketing, because he thought I would turn around and go to the back. He thought that was it. Everybody pitched me on multi-level marketing before, but it wasn't my time. That day, just like the gift of desperation, I knew how to quit drinking. I had to have the gift of desperation to stop drinking. I knew about multi-level marketing. I hated it until I had that gift of desperation, and it was the only house on the block. I had to burn the bridges behind me and go be successful at it. So I don't pray for any of you to get sober, to make a lot of money, to be successful. I pray for you the gift of desperation to go figure it out for yourself. That's it. I got the gift of desperation. I want that.
And your radio show is, and I've been a guest on there, it's a fascinating show. And the guests that you have on there are brilliant. And I think the topics that you discuss and how you approach it and how your guests approach it too are not only successful for multi-level marketing, but anybody doing anything in life, from just being in a relationship to sales or whatever. So I highly recommend people, first off, go to your website, tomchenault.com, TOMCHENAULT.com. And then all the links are on there to get to social media. And then you can find the radio show on there as well. But, when you talk to these people, these guests that you have on the show, what do you look to get out of them?
I want to get out of them the struggle. I'm not interested in their hip, slick, and coolness. I'm interested in their authenticity and their vulnerability. When you and I spoke before the show, I told your life story back to you. I didn't tell you about your car. I talked to you about your grandparents. I talked to you about the hard times that you overcame in your life. Because the reason you're a success is because you didn't read yesterday's newspaper. You made what almost and did kill a lot of people your strongest asset. You fought back from that story and you changed and broke the chain. And I love you for that. And that's what I pull out of people, that nobody gets in network marketing because they were singing too loud in the choir. Things aren't completely fantastic. It's the last house on the block, let's face it. But all of a sudden you realize that, what happened to me as a stockbroker, I wouldn't let go of the rope. And even when I was a network marketer, I told you earlier that I rearranged history to make myself the hero. It took me a couple of years as a full-time network marketer to admit I was one because of the stigma. I was everything but. And my wife, God bless her, another business deal fell down the drain. She walks to the mail. She opens up the mailbox. Here's this business deal. Now we're broke one more time. She opens up the mailbox, and these people named Steve and Michelle Wallach had sent me another monthly thank you check in those days, long ago in 1998, for about $10,000. And she looked at that check and she said, "Are you crazy?" And I said, what do you mean, am I crazy? She said, "Tom, you're good at this and you suck at that. Why don't you just do this?" And I went, "Oh, good." No, pretty much like that. And I totally embraced it. True story.
That's hilarious. Well, Steve and Michelle Wallach, of course, are the keystones of Longevity.
Yeah.
The company that you and I had met each other through. And you had started this thing, fascinating, this program that you developed. It's that you can get it on the App Store, and it's called Contact Mapping. Now, explain this, because I think I can say what it is, but that's like me talking about baseball when I've got Ted Williams sitting in front of me. So explain to me this thing that you had developed, contact mapping, which I think is going to be beneficial to anybody, not only in your field, such as network marketing, but life in general.
I don't care what line of work you're in. Treating human beings like human beings and listening to their story and documenting their story and then calling them and remembering them for a long time, forever, is the secret to success. And what I am great at is remembering. I'm the best rememberer I know. And everybody thinks it's some great memory. I'm 70 years old. For all we know, I'm like a week away from the happy hunting ground. I am telling you, I've got everybody mapped. Derek earlier was completely flabbergasted because here's my contact mapping app right here. There it is. It's got today, I brought in 2 new people. I've remembered 18 people. And whenever I talk to anybody on the phone, I just hit the microphone and I go back through and I remember the highlights of that story. And then depending on how much I like them, most people are on a 3-month rotation with me. Derek's on like a 2-year. And at the end of the day,
You're such an ass.
But then I go back and I remember something from the earlier conversation. And Derek swallows his cigar because nobody remembers anything because we're too busy figuring out what we're going to say next. And
right.
This app is free. And it lets you remember people at a level you would not believe. And instead, here's the deal. I'm a very high profile guy. So I go visit a friend of mine who had just gotten out of prison. And it was pretty cool. He was still under house arrest, so he couldn't leave his house. And so I go down to his house, and it is like a swap meet. I've never seen more furniture and everything jammed in a house. It was surreal. And he goes, "Do you want a steak?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, make a steak." And there's some lady that looks like a hobbit right over there. And she just all of a sudden throws 2 steaks on. And I'm going, this is like out of a crazy movie. So she makes the steaks. And next thing you know, here comes this really obnoxious guy. And he's talking, and he knows I'm a talk show host. So he's talking like 10,000 miles an hour. And as a result of that, I went out of focus on my camera, I think. And as a result of that, he goes,
when you held the app up, I think you made a bump to your camera.
Yeah. So anyway,
you look better out of focus.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Now you're in focus. You're in focus now.
What happened then was he goes, "I've got the Libertarian radio show and you need to come on the radio show tomorrow morning." I go, "What for? I don't even know what a libertarian is." He goes, "You get over here and come. We're taking over the country and blah, blah, blah." And I'm going, I hate this guy. So I go, "Okay, I'll come." So at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I start heading down to his house. And I finally get to his house, to this guy's house again. And here's this maniac. And he's like 3 feet high, tall, but he's standing on this pedestal. So he's above me. And it's really weird. And right on the side of his computer, it said, "F you, Tom Chenault." And I walk in and I'm going, I don't even like this guy. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to walk into that. I go, "What's that all about, pal?" And he goes, I knew I was supposed to follow you up. And F you meant follow up.
How long ago was this?
This was like a week, but all of you,
right?
Couple months, all of you hate follow up. There isn't a person watching right now in any area of their life they like to follow up, but they love to be remembered and they love to remember. So if I can give you some advice today, know enough that all you're ever doing is remembering people instead of following up. You didn't follow up on your mother on her birthday or your wife or your girlfriend or anybody. You don't want to be followed up on. You want to be remembered. And that's all I teach people to do. And I'm really good at it. So we built this app and then we built a company around relationships. And COVID came along, which was the most beautiful thing in the world because it gave us so much validation. Because all you really have is your Rolodex. And you may like Trump, you might not like Trump. I don't give a rat's. But him having his entire following, now what the hell's going on? His entire following on Twitter and having Twitter able to turn the switch and wipe him out overnight. That's what's going on with you, with your CRM. That's what's going on with your database with Salesforce or whatever your job is. Facebook, LinkedIn, all of them, they not only have your data, they're selling it to people. So I said, I'm building a company where my Rolodex, my contacts are owned by me, not by anybody else. And I built this little company to teach people to be better human beings, and it's worked out. And I found my mission in life. And I want to say about the Wallachs, because you brought them up, it's easy to find a winner and back a winner. It's hard to find a loser that is really a winner, back them, every inch of the way, knowing they're going to sabotage themselves and step on it throughout the process. But what happened with me with the Wallachs 25 years ago is they took a shot on me when nobody would. And they believed in me, and I did everything I could to dispel that belief and that faith. Yet they never forsake me. And here we are 25 years later, and I've been responsible for an unbelievable amount of their sales as a result of the organization I brought to them. But what they gave me was my life back, and I'll never, ever, ever forget that. Those two people are as rock solid as anybody. And what to all of you, I will tell you, find people like that in your life. Find mentors that believe in you almost more than you believe in yourself, and you're going to do okay.
Well, and that's something that you have always brought. I keep mentioning energy because you've always brought such positive energy whenever I've seen you at any of these events. Yeah. And you always do just a brilliant job of taking time to talk with people and just watching, because I pay close. I watch when I see you and I see you engage with other people. It cracks me up because I just see how you handle things. And it doesn't crack me up because I'm laughing at you. It cracks me up because you could talk to anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. And you have tremendous recollection of that person when you met them. And people always end up walking away feeling better about themselves.
Correct.
Anybody who walks away from talking with you, every person that I've seen ends up having a smile on their face.
But he doesn't tell you how much trouble we get to cause in between. They can't fire.
Oh, no. You and I and some mutual friends of ours too, Zach Goldberg, who is a dear friend of both of ours, the insanely inappropriate conversations that we have just to kind of create levity to certain situations. I mean, yeah, it's just, that's just the comedy in life that comes out.
And there's internal memos at that company that I've been privy to because they pay Zach and Derek to go to these events and be funny and take pictures. And there are memos that say, if you do a video with Tom Chenault, you will never be here another year. Say, no, something horrible is going to happen. And they were right. In hindsight, with all the laws now and all the stuff, half those things we want to do, we'd be doing time right. Some of the stuff that we put together that we've done on video at these conventions and events in the past. Oh, if that surfaced now in the climate of cancel culture, are you kidding me? I'm going to say this right now just because it's true and no one has ever said it before. In that company of the Wallachs, there was a whole Mormon contingent that left the company and really affected Steve Wallach and Michelle Wallach and they blamed everything. And I've wanted to say this forever. They blamed the wrong people. It was Derek. He was so inappropriate from the stage one year. They all quit. And it was really? I'm going to take the heat for this? Huh? I'm going to take the heat for this? Seriously? I'm just telling Wallach. You are so full of it. Yes. They looked the wrong spot. Exactly. Why do people fail in this field? Because you see people that come on board, and I've been to a number of these conventions with Longevity where you have tons and tons of people that get on board and they think, this is my golden key. This is going to pave the yellow brick road in front of me. And you end up seeing a huge number of people that come in, and the next convention, there's a massive turnover. Why do people fail? And what is how does that turnover happen? This business is so easy to get complacent in, and it is so easy to quit because you don't have any money invested. I've got, contact mapping. I have so much money invested in that thing. I couldn't quit if my life depended on it. It cost me $500 to buy my Longevity business. $500 with a money back guarantee. So easy to quit. So right. Every time somebody gets mad at you or somebody quits or anything happens, you blame them and then you quit. Instead of understand that that's exactly what everybody goes through in any business. Any startup is like trying to build a sandcastle at low tide. That's what it's like, because you build it and all of a sudden the water hits, it wipes you out, and you have to start over. But people, then, when they've got big money, they can't afford to quit. The trouble with network marketing is you can. You can afford to go to the next company. You can afford to do everything. You can say it. That's why you hear all these really strong type A salesman type people say multi-level marketing sucks. Because who in the world can say, I suck? You have to blame somebody because you didn't do it. And this business is hard because my efforts, every month I buy $300 worth of product at Longevity. Yet my organization does about 10 million bucks. So as a result of that, I'm only responsible for one small purchase. And then the rest of that is my motivation and my inspiration that gets those other people to buy all that product. So I have got to be good at motivating and leading people. And great salesmen are never that. They are used to being personnel problems, not having personnel problems.
Now, how do you motivate somebody? You see somebody, they come in, and that's a very broad question to ask. But I mean, somebody comes in and they're sitting there and they're going, Tom, I'm not selling anything. I can't get anybody to climb on board my team, to help me build my business. I'm done.
Yeah.
How do you motivate that person? I mean, at what point in time do you, as a coach, say, you know what, you are not coachable? You got to go. I got to send you down to the minors. I got to cut you loose. You're just not. You're not hanging with the team.
That's a really great question. If you want what I've got, you got to do what I do. So it's that simple. So I have to be really defined on what I do. And then when that guy comes in that's really got all the potential in the world, and I'm playing basketball here, and he walks in with a football and says, I think I want to play football on your basketball court, you've got to have the strength to say, that's great, I love football, but you're not going to play it on my basketball court. You've got to do what I did to get what I've got, and here's what I did. Do this. And if he says, I don't want to do that, you got to let him go. And then he comes straight. In AA, it's the same thing.
Right.
The parallel is unbelievable. Nobody wants to be in AA. Nobody wants to be in multi-level marketing. You walk in your first AA meeting, you look around, you can't believe your eyes. All you see are people that you hate because you hate yourself so bad. You walk into your first multi-level marketing meeting, you look at that girl over there who's not very pretty, not very poised, not very cultured. She's making $10,000 a month, and you're going, oh, she sucks. I could do better than that. What do I do? So you sit there for that first AA meeting for like 6 hours, and you look at your watch, and it's been on for 10 minutes. And they say, you go, shit, I came here to learn how to stop drinking. When's this meeting going to end? They say, well, it's over. It's been an hour. And you go, well, what do I do now? And they say, come back tomorrow. And you go, what do I do between meetings? And they say, don't drink. I say, that's a concept. Okay, what else do I do? You read this book. I don't have time to read this book. Okay, go get drunk. Then they go get drunk. So you come back the next day drunk. Well, I'll read the book. And then they say, okay, good. You have to find a sponsor to take you through the work. Oh, man, I'm not going to take you to a sponsor. Good. Go get drunk. You get drunk. You crawl back in. You get a sponsor. You go through the work, the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. The next thing you know, you're done. And you say, I'm done. What do I do now? And they say, go help other people. And the same thing in multi-level marketing. You walk in, you play by the book, you do it like the people that are doing it. If you stray out, like go get drunk again, but hypothetically, they'll come back to the line as long as you know where the center line is. And what I'm really good at is I know where the Tom Chenault center line is. And it's not all the tricks and the traps and the noise. It's teaching people how to be real, loving human beings. Whereby, if I had a $5 bill and I said, I'm going to sell you this $5 bill for 5 cents, Derek, and I've got 5 of them. So I want you to take these 5 nickels, keep one for yourself, and go give 4 of them away. You're going to go give those to people you like because obviously you've got a nickel worth $5.
Right.
You're not going to give it to some homeless person at the Starbucks. You're going to give it to people you like. It's the truth. And you have to feel the same way about your network marketing or anything you're doing where you're so, I don't even like passionate people. Passionate people, that's so overrated. If you're not obsessed, you don't have a chance in this day and age. So my whole thing is I teach people to get obsessed. I surround myself with the obsessed, and I show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but they have to separate themselves from the herd. And that's what I do.
What's the difference between being obsessed and being passionate?
Look at your career. How many comedians have gone through the pike? They want to do it. They go do it a little tiny. I'm really passionate about this.
Right.
But then you got Derek Richards, who will do anything to be successful. He's obsessed with it. His friends say, "Are you an idiot? You're going to that dinky town for that amount of money? Are you crazy?" You go, "No, I'd be crazy not to go. I'm obsessed with this."
Right.
Passion's pithy.
Interesting.
True.
I had never heard it divided like that before, but that makes complete sense. There's a lot of people that seem to be that they're passionate about something, but they don't want to put the work in into making it happen.
You talk about my energy earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I get up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I do some spiritual stuff. At 6:30, I'm on a call with about 200 people, and I'm lighting them up like a Roman candle. At 7 o'clock, I'm doing a Facebook Live to the rest of the world that didn't get on that thing. At 7:30, I'm on an AA meeting where I make sure, you see that guy right there? That guy right there, every day he's on my wall to remind me I'm not half as hip, slick, and cool as my paycheck is trying to tell me I am. So every day I go to, true story, every day I go to that AA meeting. And then I get done with that. And then I go out into the world and I start calling, I call my leaders before the competition does. And after I get done with that, I go down to a coffee shop and I meet with a bunch of my misfit friends and I have a blast there. I leave there and then I go call all my people. I love my life. I've got a routine that's non-negotiable. And as a result, by noon every day, I am done with my work. I can go fly my airplane. I can go out there on that lake right there and live. It's going to focus in a second. It's going to live. I mean, sorry about that. It didn't focus.
No. That's cool. It's super bright over there, which is, but no, your home's gorgeous. People follow you on Instagram and they've got,
it's being able to go out there and jump in the lake and paddleboard and do all the stuff that, who gets to do that?
Yeah.
That's what I want for all of you. That whole selling yourself out to somebody, I respect the fact that you have to, but COVID has given you some choices. And if you've got the ability to make that pivot and that choice, go find somebody that you really like, who has a lifestyle that you want to emulate, and go do what they do so you can get what they got.
Yeah, successful people hang out with successful people.
Amen.
Always elevate your game. I always say this all the time. If you're going to be out golfing, if I want my game to get better, I'm not going to hang out and play with my friends that keep launching it in the neighbor's yard or in the pond every hole. If you play with Phil Mickelson, your game's going to get better.
And same with your comedy game, right?
Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
And whenever you post, by the way, you need to know this. You always hashtag your fellow comedians. I almost look at every one of them. And the reason they should know that, because I just am in such awe of the crowd that you hang with and the standard of excellence around you. And all of us think that we're really comedians. We can do it, because we're funny once in a while.
Right.
I'm telling you, after being around you a lot since 2003, it seems like far longer. I can promise you, I finally understand that you have a craft. You're not just funny. You've honed a craft. I'm not just good at network marketing and contact mapping and sobriety. I've honed a craft. I'm an expert in those things. And it took 10,000 hours. But now it's paying off, and I'm a 30-year overnight success. And I love that.
Well, you work your ass off, and I think I highly recommend anybody to go on YouTube and look at some of your keynote speeches that you've done.
Yeah.
And because every time I've seen you speak at any one of these events that we've been a part of, I always watch because I love watching the reaction on people's faces. They are excited. They're motivated. I mean, you are just going 1,000 miles an hour. Anybody that's listened to this interview can sense your energy and the reverberation. And to see you live in person doing these speeches, and even looking at some of the clips that I have seen online, I mean, it's very extremely engaging and very, very powerful. And I highly recommend people to check out your website, tomchenault.com. Contact mapping. Go on the App Store, pull that up. That's going to help you out in every aspect of your life. And
I just have to speak in front of 172,000 women virtually from Las Vegas. And I walked out in my boxer shorts and no one knew I was going to do it. And I got 2,000 messages on Instagram. So I will tell all of you, whether you're 70 years old like me or you're 7 years old, forget being like the other people. Be so crazy like Derek that people remember you, because that's all you want. Let them remember you. Go make some noise. Be unique. Be your best you. Stop trying to be everybody else. I forgot to say that. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, not at all. I think it's perfect. And before we wrap this up, I've got you are one of the fastest, funniest thinkers on the fly. So I have 3 random questions that I had pulled from the Cards Against Humanity deck.
I know nothing about it, but I mean.
Okay, this game is insanely inappropriate, but these questions are going to be they're not going to get you in trouble. But I'm going to ask you questions, and it kind of remember that the old match game show.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to just have a sentence, and there's going to be a blank, and you're going to fill in that blank.
Okay.
Okay, 3 of these. Here we go. First one. When I am a billionaire, I shall erect a 50-foot statue to commemorate blank.
To commemorate blank, I shall erect a 50-foot statue of my erection.
A recent laboratory study shows that undergraduates have 50% less sex after being exposed to blank.
They have 50% less sex after being exposed to saltpeter.
And finally, coming to Broadway this season, blank the musical.
Coming to Broadway this season, How to Pull Your Rectum Out from In Between Your Ears to Actually Understand News and Fake News.
Boom!
Thank
I
you.
love it. You are my hero. TomChenault.com is his website. Follow him on social media. Contact mapping is available on the App Store. Check out his radio show. Check out his speeches, his keynote addresses on YouTube, wherever you can possibly find them. My friend, you are one of the most amazing, funny, hilarious, loving humans that I know, and I can't thank you enough for being my friend and being on the show here today.
Best day ever. I love you, Derek.
You're great, brother.
Thanks for listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.